how much do you know about your mind? Now, lately I've actually been talking about embodying the authentic self. We've also been talking about manifestations. All of that is just trying to learn how to bend and create the reality so that it manifests into physical existence, right? But we need to know anything that has to take place and form into materiality has to first go through the drawing board, isn't it? Within the mental faculty. Because before physical faculty happens is mental faculty. Before mental faculty happens is consciousness. Before consciousness takes place is awareness. Before awareness takes place is nothingness, space, void. Make sense? So before physical existence takes place is mental faculty. So might as well we learn more about the mind. We're not talking about mind from the conventional science where there's established connections between the brain or the body and the mind. No. Because even modern science is still trying to pinpoint where actual consciousness is, where the mind actually exists within the body. Okay? Now, we are learning it from conventional yogic science. Okay? So in this video, what you will learn is all the components that makes the mind and how you would better make use of different faculties within the mind so that you could better take charge of your reality. Sounds fun? Now, let's go into the video. So as you can see here, I've actually drawn out a diagram that looks just like a kidney bean or like a brain. Okay, it's not supposed to look like that, but nonetheless, okay, I've broken it down into four main components, and these four main components are what run the mind. Even though in the yogic culture, it's described that there are 16 different dimensions of the mind, but four of these pretty much run the whole mind. Okay, so I'm not going to go into detail for the 16 dimensions. What I'm going to do is just these four different components because this is what is highly relevant for you to understand. So you could better take charge of your mind so that you could create the reality that you want. You can bend reality accordingly based off your understanding of the mind. Okay, now the first component is the buddhi, or what we know as the intellect. Now, what the buddhi does is that it actually dissects information from all the memory that has been gathered from the manas. It's able to help you generate thoughts and ideas by recycling the information that you have gathered and actually processing them. So this is the buddhi. So a person that is known to be intelligent is actually not a person that has a lot of memory, that has gathered a lot of information, but rather how this person is able to sharply dissect that information so that he can use it and apply it in his life. This is known to be a more intelligent person as compared to a person who has a lot of memory. Okay, so traditional sense of education has actually emphasized a lot about memory. If you can memorize the whole textbook, that means you're known to be intelligent in the exam. Okay, but this is almost quite irrelevant nowadays in modern context because you type a question onto Google or ChatGPT, you get your answers right away, right? The computer or AI is able to give you the answers almost right away. Okay, now second part, which is the manas, which I've actually talked about it, is the memory faculty. This is actually stored in the mental body, which is what we know as the mano maya kosha of the 5 layers within the body. Okay, the mental body. So it is actually stored in every single cell of your body. You know, do you know that your every single cell has memory, genetic memory? You see, so this memory is actually a vast reservoir of what has been stored over years and years of evolution. Okay, so all this memory gathered through your lifetimes here, you actually provide this information for the buddhi to extract and actually reuse them and actually create actions around them. Make sense? Now the next part is the ahankara. So the ahankara is what a lot of people know to be the ego, but it's actually more of like sense of identity. Okay, so what this sense of identity actually means is, let's say if you are a specific nationality, let's say I'm from Singapore, then I would identify myself as a Singaporean. So as a Singaporean, let's say my buddhi would function around the ahankara, right? What I would do is whenever somebody says something nasty about Singapore, then I would actually defend my country because I have actually taken the identification of a Singaporean. Because then therefore, since I've identified as this identity of a Singaporean, then all the buddhi would create information or create actions, thoughts, and ideas around the identification of this identity. If that makes sense. Okay, so if let's say I've taken identification as a father, okay, so father is also an identity, it's a role, right? It's a different mask. So my buddhi will then start creating thoughts and ideas by extracting information of what I know to be a father. So I need to look after my daughter. I need to be a good father. I need to be responsible for looking after her health, her food intake, her behavior, her character, her upbringing, everything. So this is how the ahankara would function. Okay? So this ego is actually not a bad thing. It's not a good or bad thing. It's just it is. It is what it is. Okay? So what I tend to actually help my clients is to actually help them learn to find out their sense of identity so that they can better use their ahankara, so that they can embody their greater self, their higher self, their future self. So because the ego itself is not just single faceted, it is multifaceted. What we should learn to actually aspire to be is to actually raise above our sense of identity. Okay, in order for us to liberate ourselves is to actually transcend our current sense of identity. A lot of people say that, oh, I'm always like that, there's no way I could be anyone different. I'm lazy, or I'm actually, so short tempered. You know, even modern science has actually explained that, look, we are changing every moment. Our cells are dying and regenerating at the same time. So we are different every single day. So how can you even be the same? So what we need to aspire to be is so that we could rise above all kinds of identification. Since we are already experts at that, we are one way at work, we are one way at home, we are one way in public. We treat our wives differently, we treat our husbands differently, we treat our colleagues differently, we treat our friends differently, we treat our parents differently, we treat our children differently, right? We are already masters at putting on different personas and different masks. So why can't we actually strive to go above it, transcend it, and liberate ourselves so that we continuously grow, and whatever situation demands of us, we are able to create this identification to fit the demand that is needed at that moment. If that makes sense. So if change is required, if a particular difficult task has appeared, you wouldn't drag yourself unwillingly to actually go and perform the task, but rather you will be joyful. You say that, okay, I have this tools and techniques so that I can equip myself to be joyful in that state, so that I do not get affected by the ego. I'm malleable. I'm not just like a piece of rock. I'm like this means I'm like this. That makes sense. Okay, so ahankara is sense of identity, and this is pretty much very important because the buddhi would then function around and extract the information by taking identification with an identity, the ahankara that has formed there. Make sense? Now, the last dimension, which is the chitta, which is the cosmic intelligence. So most people would know this as the connection of superconscious or the God energy within us. So once you're able to, embody the future state, once you're able to control your ahankara, okay, then pretty much other faculties would be under the control of ahankara. But if you're able to touch the chitta, which is known as the cosmic intelligence, then your connection to the superconscious or the God energy within us. So that means you will unlock limitless potential to actually manifest when you touch this dimension. It means that you have transcended your identification, and therefore God is just there for you. You're able to connect. A lot of people go into deep states of meditation, and they find that when they're doing visualization, connecting and actually co-creating with the universe by doing some visualization practices, they actually touch this dimension. And therefore, this visualization practice actually create and help manifest and draw certain situations around them. This is actually assessing chitta, if that makes sense. So, if you want to better bend your reality, you need to first understand all these four main faculties of the mind. Hope this video makes sense for you. Much love and blessings to you.